Cast iron cookware.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Up Creek with Two Paddles. This is episode 35.
I thought we were on like 36.
35.
I thought we were on
34 was
36
last week.
Okay, maybe.
34 was last week.
I'm fucked up.
We are near Lake Monticello.
Yeah, we're on the river.
Not on it. I realized how southern I said Monticello.
Monticello?
Monticello.
Yeah, you replaced the O with an A.
But we're at the Alston trailhead
Is that what
of
it's called?
the Palmetto Trail. Alston.
Alston.
Alston. Funny.
Wow.
Pronounced just like my name.
The river's pretty today. It's not blown out.
Yeah, you can't really see the river too good in the camera because I wanted to show the bridge. There's a beautiful old school rail truss bridge behind us, and it has been converted into a pedestrian bridge, and it's really cool.
All right, here's the plan.
What's the plan?
I'm going to get my fly rod. I'm going to catch about 20 brim. We're going to get like 5 fishing rods. We're going to hook up the brim, throw them out, stay overnight, and wait until we catch a catfish that's as big as one of us.
You're going to catch that catfish on your fly rod?
No. No, so you have to take...
We're noodling for it?
No.
We're going to go grab it bare hand?
No, we have to get other rods, bro. We have to get some regular rods. Of course.
You need like a catfish the size of us. You need a deep sea fishing rod.
Dude, there are 100% catfish in this river that weigh 60 pounds.
Oh, I believe it.
100%.
I weigh more than that.
Yeah. But to be honest, a 60-pound catfish is probably about
6 feet.
4
4
yeah.
or 5 feet.
Yeah.
6 feet.
It's a big fish.
6 foot channel cat. Dude, that's a fucking ooh.
No, blue cat.
That's a catch.
Blue cat. Not channel. Channels don't get that big.
Ah.
A flathead or a blue catfish do. Anyway, yeah, that would be, dude. I've never been much of like a bait fisherman, but Caden likes to bait fish, and it's kind of fun just to throw it out there and just chill and hang out and not have to go nowhere. You got to be wading up the creek.
It was completely
making
different experience.
10,000 casts. You
it's
know what I mean?
Completely different experience.
It's cool. It's cool.
It's like fly fishing is like golf. Bait fishing is like putt-putt.
I don't know if that's the best analogy.
I just mean like you're out there, you're moving the whole time, you're
right.
in the water, and you're trying to, level up your game. You're trying to catch some good fish. On the links, you're trying to get your best score. You're trying to get below par. Putt-putt, you're just out there having fun.
Right.
You're not worried about...
Once that big catfish bites, it gets real serious real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Like...
Just like when it's the last hole of mini golf and I'm 2 strokes down, it gets serious.
It gets real serious. You're right. That's a good point. All right, maybe it's a better analogy than I thought.
But we were going to talk about pasta. I finally made homemade, scratch-made pasta. I thought that I fucked it up. Turned out I didn't. It was delicious. Ooh, and I tried just butter noodles last night. So good. Like, all I did was boil my noodles. I put them in the fridge after I made them. Took them out of the fridge. Let them come up about room temperature. Boiled them for about a minute. Then threw them in a pan with just some browned up butter. Dude, delicious. They were just pasta. Pasta and butter. It was amazing.
You know how I know something's good? When I make it and Jackson eats it.
Oh,
if Jackson eats it and it's like a legit like dinner, I know it's fucking good.
That's
because if he is like, cause he's, if it's like a quesadilla or whatever, and it's a little brown, he's choosy for some reason.
Yeah.
So if I make something, he eats it. Like I know it's good, and he ate the shit out of that homemade pasta and bolognese last night. God,
I can't help but
think
it
was fucking good, dude.
I know if I make something and Denise eats it, it's probably not that good. Just gotta throw her under the bus a little bit. Her tastes aren't very refined.
Yeah. How did she feel? Tell me about the hash brown pork, pulled pork.
It didn't go well.
Really? Why?
Well, my mandolin is very cheap, and I can't set the thickness. So my little tendrils of potato were far too thick to cook well in hash brown form, and it just I kind of got frustrated and gave up. Once I tried to start browning up the hash browns,
do you have a cheese grater?
I do. I should have used that. That's what I used last time I made hash browns. I should have used that, but I was trying to
You were
follow
going
this
for something
recipe.
different, a little something different.
Well, yeah, and I was trying to follow this recipe that I saw and get a little creative with it. Also, I roasted those pork ribs way too long. They were
Really?
they were getting hard. They were far too lean.
When I said roast, I kind of meant like with some liquid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I just roasted them, and it was
Were they too done?
They weren't too done. They were edible, but they were getting a little tough.
Got you.
And I actually wound up. I didn't even eat it. I left it for Denise, and I went to bed.
Dude, you should try it again. Now that you've had the experience of like it not working out, now you can, try it again and really make something.
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah. Now that I've learned.
Yeah.
But no, it was just bad altogether. I wasn't pleased with that meal that I cooked last night.
Could you cut it? Would it be? I don't know. Could you do it with a knife? Like, could you make those knife cuts on the potato, or could you make those cuts on the potato with a knife?
It was partially with a knife and partially with the mandolin. So I did the mandolin to get the very thin, flat, like chips, like potato chips, and then I took that and sliced them long ways to get very small little like matchsticks of potato. But they were still too thick. Like they still would have needed a lot more time to come to tender than just a hash brown where all it does is sear and you get that brown and all of the potatoes are tender. It would have taken way too long. It just wasn't good.
Maybe blanched them and then.
Perhaps. Although I would just go about it completely differently if I tried the same method. I'd go back to the cheese grater because that's what worked for me last time. Also, I fucked around, and by the time I was making the hash browns, I was a little drunk, and it wasn't. I can definitely chalk it up to that a little bit, but.
Dude, don't you hate that when you have such an idea for what you want to do, and then it just doesn't go the way you wanted or expected to at all?
Everything went horribly wrong.
Like I hate when that happens.
Like I was gonna make a little sauce. I told you I was thinking about like doing a little soy sauce, a little Worcestershire, dilute it a little with some water and make a roux with that. I gave up at that point. I was like, I'm not putting that much effort at this. Like, none of this is going to plan. I'm not making a sauce. It's edible. I told Denise she'd have food, and she's got food. And I was like, I'm going to sleep.
But you still had some butter noodles to save the day.
Yes, I had, but that was just for me. I had that as a little snack before I even started cooking.
Yeah, 100 grams to one whole egg. Obviously, it depends on the size of your egg. And the kind of flour you're using. But let's just say you're using AP and a normal sized egg.
Yeah.
100 grams of flour per one egg was a little much. It was like you said, it was probably more closer to like 95 or something.
Yeah, I think so. But again, depending on the side of your egg, definitely. Especially because I'm using backyard eggs. And typically, the yard eggs I've had are a little smaller, but these are big. These aren't Brett's chickens. These are whoever my sister works with that has chickens. Her eggs are huge, like grade A large eggs, like straight up. But the ones I get from Brett will be a little bit smaller. He's got different hens, I suppose, different breed. I don't know, but I'm gonna make more pasta because
dude, I need a fucking pasta roller. That shit will work your.
Dude,
you know what I started doing? I was like, fuck my hand. I started using my forearm, and I could literally create more force. I would hold the pasta at the bottom, and then I would use my forearm to roll the roller, or what I was using for a roller, to roll it across, because I could literally get more force with my forearm than I could with my hand, because I could lean into it more. And that could be because I don't know. It was tough. It was kneading very hard. Like I thought that I got to the point where like I can't knead this anymore.
Yeah.
And then I kept kneading it, and it needed it. It needed the kneading. It needed the knead.
Man.
And I had been like kneading that shit. My arms were hurting, bro.
Oh, dude, it was hard
and
work,
I hadn't
but it's
even
fun.
gotten to the rolling out the pasta yet, bro.
It was fun.
You work for that pasta.
So after you kneaded, you immediately rolled it out?
No. After I kneaded, I let it sit for like in the fridge for like 30, 40 minutes.
Okay. I let mine sit on the counter for like an hour before I cut it and rolled it.
It might have been better for me not to set it in the fridge and then try to roll it.
Yeah, it's going to make it a little bit harder.
I probably should have just left it out at room temperature. I don't know why I put it in the fridge.
But yeah, I've got such a good source of yard, pasture-raised eggs, and I want to use them more because I don't eat eggs that often. I really don't. So I'm thinking I might make just huge batches of pasta and just freeze them, like we were talking about. Start doing that because I can use more eggs, and
And
that
it's
way
like
I'm.
you think of pasta as like this shitty thing to eat, but it's only that shitty thing to eat if you're eating like literally dried flour that this dehydrated flour that
Yeah.
rehydrates when you know that shit that stuff is like glue.
Dried macaroni product.
Jesus Christ,
I don't
dude.
even think they can legally call it pasta.
Yeah, it has no eggs in it.
It's a macaroni product.
It has no eggs.
That's
Apparently,
what like it was blowing my mind. I was like, what when you said that regular store bought pasta doesn't contain eggs. I
how do
was
they
like
make it?
I was like, wait, I've literally never ever eaten pasta. I've never had pasta in my
Right.
entire life.
Not
The pasta
really.
I made was the first time I've ever actually eaten real pasta.
Right.
Like that blew my mind. I was like, oh, it's literally a completely different thing.
And I had even heard of people like egg noodles. What the fuck is an egg
What
noodle?
are egg noodles? It's an Asian thing, right?
It's literally just pasta. Like that's what I'm saying. Is they just make pasta with eggs and flour or rice flour, and that's their fucking noodles.
I don't know.
That's that they call it egg noodles because they're made with the eggs.
Really?
Yeah. It's not because, you know, they serve it with the eggs.
Well, I know the
You know
the
what I'm
Asian
saying?
folks have quite a different range of noodles than we do.
You're right. I think they use different flours. They use,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I want to look into that.
Yeah, they get into their noodles. Yeah.
But the meal I made with the homemade pasta, now that one was good. That one was delicious. I made like I seared my ground beef in the bottom of the pot, then had like a mirepoix. I left out the celery because Denise isn't a big fan of celery. I don't think it make like you barely taste it.
You
It just
can't-
adds to
after
the
it gets
complexity of
cooked,
flavor.
You can't taste it.
I agree.
You can't even find it.
But I know that she's not a fan, so I left it out. Just did onions and carrots, seared them in the fat from the beef, then deglazed with a little splash of red wine, then threw in my tomato sauce, seasoned to taste, and then blanched my noodles real quick and throw them in there. Dude, it was so good. One of the best meals I've ever made in my life. One of the best meals I've ever eaten. Period in my
Dude,
life.
I did the same basic thing. I did a bolognese with the classic mirepoix, and
I told my
2
mom I
pounds
made a
of ground beef.
mirepoix, and she was like, "You made what?"
yeah, people don't know what that means. People don't know what that means.
It's literally one of the most fundamental things of cooking. is a mirepoix.
Mirepoix.
It makes everything good.
What's the Creole version? They basically just throw out the celery and use bell pepper.
I don't know.
No, they
That
throw out
sounds
they throw out the
delicious.
carrots and use bell pepper.
That sounds delicious.
So they call it the Cajun Trinity, which is onion, bell pepper,
Oh yeah. I've
and,
heard that term.
and
The
celery.
Cajun Trinity.
The
I've heard
yeah,
that.
the Cajun Trinity. I don't know why. I think they just threw out the carrots because they don't live in a climate that's it's more of a place that would produce peppers instead of
Oh yeah, for
like
sure.
a root.
Right. Right. Man, speaking of peppers and roots, you got any plans for a garden this year?
Yeah.
We're coming into spring.
Definitely some tomatoes.
You got some room to make. You're
Yeah.
gonna do kind of raised beds.
Dude, I've been thinking my dirt's pretty mulchy and it's pretty. It's like it's got clay, silt, and the top is kind of mulchy.
Yeah.
So I literally think I'm just gonna get some 2x4s and put them down where I want my bed. Maybe like I don't know how long yet, but build a bed out of just some 2x4s and then just till up the earth in that area,
Yeah.
not even add any.
Yeah.
Just till up the dirt in there and just use it because it's fine. It's fine dirt. It's not too hard.
Yeah.
It's not dry. Like it's fine.
You gonna do peppers?
Definitely peppers and tomatoes.
You always grow peppers.
Yeah, peppers are good.
Tomatoes can be a little tricky sometimes.
Really?
I don't
I've
know.
never had any issues.
Squash is always super easy, super straightforward. You need a little bit more room though, because that's more of a
Squash, yeah.
squash stretches outward more than it stretches upward.
Have you heard of like the pairing plants? Like there's like you pair like certain plants
Vertical,
with
like-
herbs,
Oh no,
and so like I think
it's like a
like
natural
tomatoes.
pesticide type of thing.
Yeah. You're supposed to like plant with tomatoes. It's so funny because it sounds so like duh. Like they say tomatoes and basil and cucumbers and dill. Like natural, but it's like Or dude, is that real, or like or those two things just go together? And people always have just planted those two things
So
together.
is the idea that the herb is going to
Yeah,
attract the insects that would
repel.
repel the insect?
Yeah.
Okay,
Which
that
I don't
makes
know why,
sense.
because basil's fucking delicious. I don't know if I eat if I like the basil. I don't know why the fucking
That's
bugs
true.
wouldn't.
That's
Like,
true.
it's like, what the fuck? I don't know. I don't know. It just seems kind of weird. It seems kind of like it's one of those things you see on the internet and you're like, I'm not gonna look into that, but I think you're full of shit. You know what I mean?
Man, I've been thinking about maybe doing a little garden in my backyard, getting some planter boxes, maybe just doing some peppers or something. I want to start getting more practice with gardening because I've never really been a gardener. But my dad, my brother have had a garden for as
That's
long as I can
ridiculous
remember.
because you have a green thumb.
I don't have a green thumb.
Dude, yes you do. You have more plants than almost anybody I know in their house.
Yeah, they're all pothos and peace lilies. Anything else I try to grow, I kill. The only plants I can keep alive are literally the plants that they say are the easiest fucking plants to keep alive. Everything else I kill.
Dude, peppers and tomatoes are fucking easy, man. In South Carolina in the summer, you cannot as long as you water it
Yeah,
enough,
yeah.
they're gonna be fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to get more practice into just learning a little bit more about how to work with plants because that's something I've always not been that knowledgeable about.
One issue with pots is that it really limits the growth of your plants.
I'm thinking like big planter bed, like a big planter box, not individual
I got
pots. Yeah. But I want to make sure they get right amount of sun.
Because when I was living in apartments, I always used the
big big
just
pots.
pots, and yeah, it really cuts down on
Yeah.
how big and how much they produce. So if you can plant in the ground, that's definitely better, or just a bigger space in general.
Dude, I can't even grow aloe. All of my aloe is dying, and I don't know why.
I need to start having more. I want to have more indoor plants.
My brother has an aloe plant that is like fucking the size of like a basketball rim, and they're all like
Don't they need a good bit of light?
thick. No,
They don't.
I don't know. The ones that he have that took off, he put on his screened in front porch, so they would always get diffused. Like they're only getting partial light because the porch is covered. So the whole morning they're getting no light, and then in the afternoon they get diffused light through the screen of the porch. But I think what they really the reason they took off so much on the screened-in porch was because of the heat and the humidity that they're getting by being outside. Apparently, they don't need a lot of light.
They just need heat and humidity.
I don't fucking know. I don't know. I've tried everything. I can't get my aloe to take off. It's just stagnant. It's not growing at all. I don't know what to do.
Hannah killed an aloe plant too. She got it for Christmas, I think.
Dude, why do they say succulents are easy to take care of? They're so hard to take care of.
I don't know about the succulents because those things just sit there.
Like they say, like, is it jade hanging? What is? I don't know. But they say that like succulents are like beginner plants, and I've killed every succulent I've ever bought.
It could not be you. It could be just that fucking is a shitty plant.
It could be a shitty plant.
Those succulents are shitty plants.
I
Dude, look
also
at 'em. They're-
blame it on my house. I think the orientation of my house and the windows, there's nowhere good to put plants in my house. Nowhere gets a lot of light except right in front of my main
Are
window.
you facing north south?
No, I don't know what I'm facing. I think I'm facing like northeast. Or no, southeast. I don't know what. Either way, I'm not getting a lot of sun. I don't know.
Well, if you were facing south, you're not facing south because if you were facing south right now, the sun would be hitting you every morning, right in the front of your house because our sun is it's in the southern hemisphere right now. So
Yeah.
it appears to be in the southern part of our skies.
I believe it's southeast is the way my house faces. Because the morning sun does come in through the front, but it comes in at a very steep angle.
Mm.
It's not direct. And then by the end, it's coming in at the opposite angle from the back of the house. But I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I should think about that. But yeah, I wanna have a garden, or at least like do some pepper, just something to get myself getting outside, giving me something to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the main reason I want to. It's a good excuse to get outside, work with some plants, get a little bit closer to your food. Man, I've started strictly buying organic flour because I'm like, it's $2 more.
Might
for
as
the
well.
might as well. Why not? For the peace of mind to
Some
know that
stores-
it's at least a little better.
You can usually find an organic all-purpose, but it's lots of times it's either in a smaller bag or the store, doesn't have it.
Ingles has it.
Really? They have
Ingles
bread
carries 5 pound. Yeah, everything you can get.
They have They have the 5-pound organic bread flour.
I'm not. I think so. I know that they got the 5 pound AP, organic AP. They got organic whole wheat flour. I'm pretty sure they got organic bread flour. They got the red meal organic flour that you have that you would like.
I like that stuff a lot.
They carry that. They carry all the red mill products. Like Ingles, at least the one that's closest to me, has a huge selection of flour. Huge selection.
That's an issue though, because lots of if you go into a Walmart, they have shitty flour.
They got King Arthur's, but they don't.
Yeah,
They don't
do.
carry the organic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
either way, I still I have a little bit more trust for King Arthur's than I do, fucking Pillsbury.
Apparently, flour only keeps for like a year or so, but if you buy the actual grain, like the unmilled grain,
Yeah.
they keep for like 30 years or some shit.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Dude, I so badly want to live off the grid.
dude, when the outage happened, I literally, when the fucking cellular outage,
Yeah.
I told Hannah, I was like, don't leave the house. For one thing, she's 9 months pregnant, so I don't want something like if her water broke or something, and she can't even call me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
what the fuck? So I told her not to go anywhere. Because we could still text if we had Wi-Fi,
Right.
or FaceTime, whatever. If you have Wi-Fi, and I was like, I went and bought because rice is good for forever. I bought 10 pounds of rice, 10 pounds of flour, and 10 gallons of water.
Yeah.
Because worst comes to
Slight panic.
slight
panic.
is the power gonna go out next?
Yeah. What is this?
What's gonna happen? And I was like, because where I'm at in kind of in the city, I'm on the outskirts of Columbia Metro, and if something really went down, I have to settle in for 2 weeks, because if you try to leave in that initial rush,
Yeah.
you're gonna die.
Yeah.
You're gonna die.
It's
You're
not
gonna
gonna
get
be
stuck
pretty.
on the road. You're gonna get stuck on the interstate, and you're gonna get robbed, and you're gonna get killed. So you have to try to at least stick it out
Man, I need to.
where you're at until the initial buzz
Yeah, for
happens,
sure.
and then you find your long-term spot.
Yeah. See, I'm already basically in my long-term spot. My long-term spot's Santuck.
Right, you can get
Has
there
to
no
be.
problem.
But the thing is,
I'm locked down where I'm at.
I need
I'm in
better.
gridlock.
I need hand tools. Because if shit hit the fan, I need an axe that I can
You
fell
need a
trees
good
with.
fucking axe.
Need a really good axe. You need to be able to sharpen that axe. You need a nice handsaw that can literally cut through a fucking 2-foot diameter tree. That's what I really would like to start getting a little bit of a collection of, just in case. Because I don't know, the shit ain't looking like it's going in a very happy direction right now.
We're getting infiltrated from the south by China.
I don't know where, dude. It is a wild time that we fucking live in right now. It is scary, and I like you were just saying. I always say that I try not to think about it, but lately it's all that it's been on my social media feed. So I haven't been able to distract myself from it, and it is terrifying what the fuck's going on in the world right now. And then the election year. And oh my god, dude.
Yeah, it sketches me out too.
It's a scary time we're living in.
For some reason, I get especially nervous around election years.
And we just signed a bill to send $95 billion more
That's
to Ukraine.
Ridiculous.
Even though literally
I thought we were done with that shit.
99.5% of the U.S. population
Doesn't
want us to do that.
All right, they were like, okay, the first couple billion, first couple $100 billion. Cut it.
Yeah.
Okay? The first couple $100 billion, cut it.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to send another 90 over there, homie. The fuck? Are they shooting what? Jesus
It's scary.
Christ.
Like, why? Why are we that
Because I think we're not just supporting the military effort; we're basically
Oh, I know.
supporting their whole economy.
I know, but like,
Like
is that like, did a previous treaty sign us up to do this?
No. So what happened
Because
was
usually a lot of peace treaties are the reason we come
Right.
in, or at least what we're
No.
told.
So Joe Biden's son went over there and got so many prostitutes and so much coke that we actually owed them $300 billion. And I think we're square now. I think we're actually square. No, I'm serious.
We're even.
We're even now. I think that's really what happened though. And I think
man.
maybe he went over there because Biden had went over there before and found out that it was pretty cool, and then I'm just bullshitting.
So wait, how recently did Tucker Carlson interview Putin?
Like 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like during the war, he went to what do they call it, the fucking the Kremlin. He went to the Kremlin,
Kremlin.
which is where they house their government, and I think he lives there.
Yeah, that might be an interview worth listening to.
Yeah. Apparently,
it's probably pretty pertinent.
Apparently, like Tucker tries to press him, and then he just doesn't take any sort
Dude.
of like
You got
direction
some
that he doesn't
balls
want to.
To press Putin.
So much nuts.
I'm
gonna go to Russia in wartime and interview him.
and interview one of the most dangerous people on the face of the planet right now.
No, he's not. But he could definitely have Tucker killed before he left the country.
That's what makes him the most dangerous person on the planet.
That's fair. Yeah, it's not him exactly, but I know what you mean. His power is dangerous, yeah.
That's him.
Yeah.
The capabilities of that man?
Yeah.
Not him as an individual man.
Yeah.
But the people
Dude,
under his control.
If they killed Tucker while he was over there, America was going to go to war. Trump was going to get elected, and then we were going to go to war with Russia.
I'm kind of worried that's already going to happen, regardless of Tucker Carlson being alive or not.
You've heard of BRICS, right?
You told me about it.
You've heard of this place. Is Brazil?
I've only heard what you've told me, and that was in a podcast,
Brazil,
so I probably
Russia,
don't remember most of it.
India, China, I believe South Africa.
Yeah. Korea?
Yeah, they're like, I don't know.
Or is it just BRICS?
It's BRICS, but they had several new nations
you told me
join
about
the
that.
organization this year. And it's literally like an organization. It's, we have our NATO or whatever the fuck, or not NATO, but our fucking United Nations. It's basically like the United Nations, but like, communist or some shit. Not communist, but third world developing nation. Not how am I trying to say this? It's anti-Western world. Not anti, but you see what I'm saying? It's I'm not describing this well, but BRICS is an organization that holds their interests as these developing nations first, and they don't have the United States' best interest in hand is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? They're more concerned with how they're going to escape poverty and underdevelopment and all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't,
And like we were talking about, the military just dropped the requirement for a high school diploma or a GED.
Yeah.
And you can get accepted as long as you score high enough on the ASVAB, which some people who know a lot more about that than I do said that that's pretty much a guarantee that war is coming.
I've heard that before, though.
What part?
Like just that, that heavy recruiting.
Yeah.
Like I've heard that before. But we've been at war for the last 20 years, so.
Well, there was a little brief stint of time under
4 years?
Under the rule
Wasn't it like 4 years?
Yeah. So about the same amount of time.
To be totally fair, Obama's the one who pulled them out, but it was gross.
Oh yeah, yeah. But the thing is, we didn't start again.
Yeah, we didn't go back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, under the control of this one person for about the timeline of a presidency. We weren't at war. It's kind of funny, isn't it?
But like he's cast as like a warmonger.
He's cast as so many things. I don't necessarily want to go down this rabbit hole.
But like, what is war?
Yeah.
What is war though? Because he had people killed. Like, what was that dude? Gaddafi? No, He died like a dog.
Yeah, the Shane Gillis bit. Yeah, I'm not sure who it was, but that was a terrorist group leader.
Right, right, right.
So
Does that count as war?
No, I don't think so. Because I mean, I guess technically that's still like the war on terror.
Right, 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 right. And,
But
I
like,
mean, they sent troops over in planes.
Yeah,
or was it a
I don't
drone
know.
attack? Who knows? It doesn't
like
matter.
like is Desert Storm considered a war?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know how
that's
they
for
break
sure.
all that down, as far as like infiltrating a specific like they're still going after El Chapo. They call that a war.
War on drugs. I thought he was in prison.
Well, the organization under him, like his son, all that shit.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know about all that.
Yeah, it's. I wasn't trying to like. I'm just saying like
Yeah.
we
There were still
be
military happenings
careful.
going on.
Be careful of the things you say because, especially when it comes to stuff like that, because you see people do it like on both sides where their option is the only option, and
Yeah,
this,
malinformation.
it's just like
Misinformation.
Okay, oh yeah, it was totally peaceful. The economy was great. Like nothing was wrong when he was president. Like I hear you, but like okay, he's not God, and
No, and I'm not. No, I agree.
one thing that he enabled to happen is Biden coming into office. So
But also, like-
I have fault. I'm like okay.
I'm not
get
even-
it. What he stands for is great. I'm not criticizing.
No, I know you're not. I'm not even
I'm
pro Trump.
Right.
But
right.
when things like that get highlighted, it's hard to not see.
Yeah, it seemed like we were in less war. I'll say that.
Yes.
We definitely weren't, giving 20 billion to Ukraine or
Yeah,
not
there was
20,
a
or
good
90
amount.
billion to Ukraine.
A lot was changing.
We certainly weren't doing that. And yeah, no, I totally it's just tough, man. I hate this climate. I hate the political climate nowadays.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
But I'm looking forward to summer.
Looking forward to summer. I can feel the warmth starting to.
Oh, dude, the
seep
sunshine
in.
out today is so nice. Yeah, let's just quickly segue into enjoying life and get away from the scary shit that's going on right now.
I think, dude, to be honest, like I was telling, that day that there was the outage,
Yeah.
like I texted you, like, I just think some old people want the end of the world, World War III, whatever the fuck you want to call it, to happen. So their shitty life that they're dreading can be over, and they can be a part of one big last hurrah.
Yeah.
I really think that a lot of older people really think like that because I work with this woman. I'm not going to say her name, but she came in that morning, and she was like, "Did you hear AT&T was down?" I was like, "Yeah, I have AT&T," and she was like, "Yeah, I can't make phone calls to my husband or whatever. Like, we'll see if I think it sounds like it's an attack, like some sort of cyber attack. We'll see what happens, blah blah blah." And I was like, "It sounds like you want this to happen.
Yeah.
It literally sounds like you want this to just all go south.
Well,
like,
well,
and
one, I
sometimes
think-
like that scares me because what if that's Putin's kind of point of view?
true.
You know what I mean? Like
Well, one, I don't think it's crazy to think that there are people who think like that.
not even old people.
Not even old people.
Just people that are
But
yeah.
from my perspective, in so many circumstances in life, anticipation is worse than what happens.
That's true. Yeah, totally right.
And right now, the entire world is living in anticipation.
How is this going to go down? Yeah, you're totally
So
right.
even I'm in that boat where I want something to go down so that we can just be done with the anticipation of it.
Yeah, no, you're.
You know what I mean?
Totally right. Yeah.
Because we're just living in fear every fucking day.
Uh-huh.
And we're obviously on a train that's going to a fucking brick wall. Like, you just wanted something to happen so we can stop worrying about
Yeah.
what is going to fucking happen.
Right.
Because something's coming.
Something's coming.
Something's coming.
Something's coming, and that's kind of what. Yeah, you're right. Like, and whether it's like something in your personal life or something on a larger global scale
Yeah.
or whatever, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I've always since I can't remember what happened to me in my life. I think it was when me and my first girlfriend broke up, and I was like, something's always coming down the pipeline. You know what I mean? Like it's just like
Yeah.
just stay in the pocket and just be ready because
For me, it was living in Myrtle Beach, kind of cemented the idea that, of the ups and downs, where like there's certain. I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, but there's certain times where everything's just going fluidly. So everything's going swimmingly. Everything's fine.
Right.
There's no adversity right now.
It's easy.
Paychecks have been good. Bills are paid. My savings is good. Me and my wife haven't been arguing.
Right.
And you just know. You just know, like,
What's going on?
something's going to, dude, we're due.
Who's about to die?
We're due. Something's going to happen. I don't know if I'm getting fired.
Yeah.
I don't know if somebody's going to have a terrible car accident. I don't know what's going on. But just when times are too good for too long, you
Yeah.
start getting a little worried.
Mm.
You're like, something's due.
I think the natural state of things is definitely that disorder. And we just, as humans, try to bring order to that. Like, I think that's one of the things that makes us, we all have these animal instincts, but most people choose not to,
Right.
act in an animalistic way. Like, I don't know where I'm going with that, but I'm just saying I think that that's one of the things that we do as humans. Like, animals will just live out in the fucking chaos. And they'll just their life is chaos, like,
Yeah.
constantly. But we just try to bring so much control to it, and we get used to that control. And I think that's where the anxiety comes in, because we've thought we've gained this illusion of control, when in reality we never really had any control.
Right.
And then when that is kind of shown via something happening that you didn't have any control over, right? That you didn't want to happen.
Yeah.
Suddenly all that is illuminated. Oh my God, I have no, all of this is beyond me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, from just the citizenry right now of this country is pretty.
Oh, we really have no control there.
We're getting, and it's blatant at this point. 20 years ago, it was like, maybe my vote counts. Maybe it's worth it.
Right.
Maybe we're making good change. Now it's like, don't even try.
Nah.
Don't even try.
Don't worry about it.
They don't give a fuck.
That third party candidate has no fucking chance.
don't
and
even
you can't
try.
vote in the primary because you don't want to be a part of the parties.
It's insane.
Fuck you.
It's
Fuck
like,
you.
obviously.
You can't choose between the two. But then look at what we're doing. We're obviously like putting the most emphasis on the biggest election, when in reality that's what they want you to do.
Oh yeah, I know.
They want you to put the emphasis all on one thing, when it really is all these other small things.
Yeah, it's all
that
the
add
tiny
up.
things.
Yeah, like all these little congressional leaders that you don't know their fucking names and you don't care, and you voted for this one because he was, his last name was Dale. I don't fucking. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't care about all these small things that add up to basically what is your elected officials.
Right.
You put all your emphasis on this one thing that everybody can talk about. And that is what we like to do. We are more focused on the status of the conversation of politics rather than what actually matters. You know what I mean? We'd rather talk about the hot things because it's more fun. But what really matters, we're just like, no one knows his name. We're fine. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, it's so much about the drama of it. It's the fun of the chaos, like you're saying, like, and it's all just distracting from the ways you can actually potentially make a change.
And the president is like this showpiece. Like, if you heard, like, what do you think about the idea that the nation or empire's leader reflects its
populace?
It's populace, or it's the state of the country's culture or influence, or
I don't know.
whatever. Like, 'cause, like, for instance, if you have, say, a young Napoleon, right, versus a 80-year-old Biden, like, is your civilization dying? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, is your empire dying because of like this dying figurehead that you've elected to sort of represent it?
I've never thought about it that way, but that actually makes a lot of sense.
Whereas if you were, say, in Dagestan, right, and you're coming out of a war-torn place, you're like, we want better for ourselves right now. We're going to work hard. We're going to band together, community. We're going to, fuck all that bullshit. We're working. We're building better shit here. We're on the up and up. You know what I'm saying? That's their attitude, because they were down for so long. And I think America, we were that way at one point. It was almost like, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We've gotten to the point where we're just about to die. We've
I almost think,
lived our life as a nation almost.
I don't know if it's the nation that's being represented on it as being on its deathbed by
Not the
Biden
people.
or the
civilization itself.
state.
Yeah, right. The state of everything.
The deep state, the people in control.
Okay. That's
They're the ones
interesting.
dying off,
Mm,
and they're pushing
that's
this
interesting.
completely like that's like they had to.
So it's not representative because we're not choosing really. I mean,
No.
we are though. We are though.
We're really not. We're really not. Like, I forget who said it. I don't remember if it was Dr. Phil. It was one of the last Joe Rogans I listened to. They were saying, like, dude, all the people making decisions are not elected officials. The
Right.
head of the FBI, the head of the CIA, the head of the fucking Bureau of Land Management, like the head of the DEA, the head of FDA, all of these people making these huge decisions are not elected officials.
Most of them are appointed.
Appointed officials by people with agendas. And then those people needed to prop up this figurehead who's obviously not capable of making his own decisions so that they could...
Because they're losing control.
Because they're losing control. And it's obvious that they're losing control. So maybe this was a last-ditch effort. And, nobody wants Kamala Harris to be the fucking president. So Biden's got that protection.
So I'm imagining what you're saying is true, and they're desperate and they're dying. They're losing their control because of the surplus of information that we have.
Yes.
Would you assume that they become desperate? And when people become desperate, they start doing things.
They do wild shit.
Yeah.
They do wild shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if desperation is the right word.
Like giving $90 billion to a country that we have no idea what. We had an idea at the start, right? It was they appealed to our
Dude, what has it been, 2
ideals
years
of freedom.
now?
Yeah, 2 years. At first, I remember they appealed to our ideals on freedom, like this free nation is being attacked and their sovereignty is being taken. We can't stand for that. We can't allow for that to happen. That was a bullshit smoke show.
Just like every single reason for us to enter any war that we've ever been involved in.
Well, no, some are for legitimate resources, like oil, for instance. That was a huge reason why we're in the Middle East.
The Saudis are the richest people in the world. We gained nothing. We didn't go like.
No, we were trying to establish stronger connections in the Middle East so that we could have a better connection.
Do you hear what you're saying?
No, I mean, what do you mean?
We're trying to establish stronger connect. Do you think what we did in the Middle East established stronger connections?
Not connections wasn't the right word. We were trying to establish a stronghold over the area.
That's a better way to put it.
Okay,
stronghold.
Let me put it that way.
You made it sound like we were over there networking, trying to make friends.
Well, see, that's what China's doing. They're going about it a different way. We went about it in a militaristic way. But yeah, we were trying to gain access and leverage in the region.
Right. That's more of an accurate way to describe that.
Right, but like compared to Ukraine, like I'm not sure. Like I'm sure we get some grains from there, but like I know that's what they do a lot of farming. Like you know what I mean? Like they have resources.
I don't know enough about it.
They have regional access to ports, but that doesn't concern like us. I'm just trying to figure out what is it that we are so willing to heavily invest.
That's what scares me.
Like I don't understand. Like that's what I'm saying. I don't understand. Just like why I don't understand why people are pushing for an open border if they really know what's going on there. Like why?
Scary.
Why are they purposefully letting fentanyl on the streets? Like these decisions. I just don't. I don't like that. That's what scares me is that I don't see the logic. When you don't see the logic behind someone's decisions, that's when you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
I just can't help but hear that bird chirping, and I just don't want to think about the state of the world right now, and I just want to enjoy the beautiful song of that bird. It's so fucking scary. Everything that's going on right now behind the scenes is so fucking scary. Like, and it's just the lack of control. I saw a TikTok. It was a little joke. It was about D&D. Which I know you're not that familiar with D&D. I'm not very familiar with it either. But the joke was, we're going to play hey, we're setting up this new D&D campaign, but it's going to be extremely realistic, just as a joke. Like the whole thing, obviously TikTok is a joke, but then one of the characters playing D&D with this in this new realistic campaign, like went off and was like, "What is going on? We're working jobs that bring us not enough money to pay our bill." Like, just basically ran through all of the hardships that people of America are going through right now.
All the same shit.
And he was like, "Yeah, I said it was going to be realistic." Like, basically, like by the end of her rant about why this is such a crazy campaign, she was like, nothing we do matters. We're doing all this, and we can't change what's going on that's being held us down, like all in the world of D&D." And he's like, "Yeah, I said it was going to be realistic." It's like, dude, it's wild. It's wild what's going on. And we don't even know. We don't even know the dude. What percent?
We forgot about aliens.
What
We
percent?
literally forgot about them.
What percentage of what's going on is public knowledge?
Oh. Maybe like 5?
It's so we don't.
10 max?
I don't even know if it's 5, dude.
5, 10 max.
It might be 1 max.
I mean, worldwide, yeah, probably.
And also, dude, just think about how crazy the
Like in
shit
terms
that
of,
they're
like,
doing
worldwide
that we
information.
know about is. The things that they're okay with us knowing about and we are absolutely terrified about, those are the things they let us know about. Dude, what do we not know
It's like
about?
they try to give us signs almost.
I don't know. Or distractions. Like, we have no clue. They might be highlighting certain things, like obviously fear-mongering we've talked about. Like, they might be highlighting certain things specifically so that we're looking the other direction. It might all be fucking
Yeah.
sleight of hand, dude.
In the way they like write bills and shit, how they'll like they did that joint bill where they sent money to Israel and Ukraine,
Yeah.
right? Like they package stuff into these bill packets,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And no one can fucking read them.
No. No, we
Because
have no clue.
They're all written by lawyers who are trying to turn a phrase so you can't fucking understand it.
Oh my god.
And they're 800 pages. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one knows what's in there. Nobody. Not even the people who are passing that shit. They probably know the first 10 pages. You know?
That's true.
They don't know what's in that shit.
Who's that lawyer getting paid by?
The congressmen, they're not they don't have the ability to read what they're passing.
That's such a good point.
Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Because just because you're in Congress doesn't make you smarter than the average person.
Yeah, why do we assume that a congressman needs to be a lawyer? Like, that's stupid. What if someone gets into Congress and they don't have a background in lawyer and now they can't understand this bill?
Probably most of them. That's probably fucking most of them.
No,
dude.
most of them are lawyers.
They still probably don't.
Which
like,
is not what you want. You would want to have, like,
humanitarians.
yeah, maybe like like a civil engineer or a doctor or a health psychologist or just a representation of the best of our people. No, it's all the grimy lawyers.
Dude, it's what's crazy is
What the fuck? Like, what the fuck, man?
I've expressed so much between our conversations about how I try to look on the bright side and try not to focus on it, but I've gotten so fucking cynical about this whole situation, and there's really no other way to look at it. It's oh my god, it's so scary.
Yeah.
I love how we're gonna try and get away from that and enjoy talk about summer coming up, and we immediately got back on the terror of the world.
And they get people with legitimate concerns. Like say, for instance, if you're a young, attractive woman and you work in a space with a lot of men, right? And you don't like being sexually harassed,
Yeah.
and you're pro women in the workplace because you're a strong woman, you've always been able to keep up with the men, well, whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah.
Now you're a liberal and you want to be on the Democratic Party. You're a member of want to be a member of the Democratic Party because they stand for, treating women with respect in the workplace, or whatever.
Right.
I'm not saying that Republicans don't. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that it's kind of more like feminism is kind of more closely
I go-
correlated
yeah,
with the
I get what you're
Democrat.
saying.
Yeah. So they get people, but with legitimate things, like obviously women should have a space in
Yeah.
the workplace and they should be respected. They shouldn't have to deal with men hitting on them all the time if they're attractive or if they're or whatever. And I think that's how they get people. They get people that have legitimate concerns that don't know what to do about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's Yeah, it's rough. It's rough out there, and like we've talked about this before. Ain't none of this shit new, bro. People have been fighting for freedom since the dawn of time.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah.
we've had our seasons, and we're not special. Okay, we just have to keep fighting for it
Ooh.
and know that the battle ain't ever won.
So-
It ain't never stopped. Someone's always trying to get over on you. Always, just assume it.
I got a new topic.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I agree. But let's bring up the question about: would you rather, if you could go 50,000 years into the
Yeah.
future or 50,000
Yeah.
years of the past, what would you choose?
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of value in both options.
Yeah. What if you go 50,000 years in the future and they know everything?
But would you be able to utilize that knowledge coming back to the present?
No, I guess my point would be they could tell you what happened 50,000 years before, so then you got to see
Oh.
both sides.
Okay.
You know, they knew what happened 100,000 years ago with perfect clarity because of their. I don't even know if it's probably not possible.
No, it's definitely not possible.
But
That's a good point though. But
so you got to see the future and take a glimpse into what they
Yeah.
thought the past looked like. I guess.
see, my first thought when you asked me that question was the future has no implication in my life. No, nothing. 50,000, 50 years in the future, maybe. I might get some insights and be like, oh, that's what the world is going to be like when I'm 80.
When my kids are. Yeah.
Yeah, when my kids are coming of age. But
Yeah.
50,000 years, any information that comes from that is going to have no impact on my life. It's not going to change anything about my present
You
life.
would hope. You would hope.
But if I was able to go back 50,000 years into the past, and maybe you learn that civilization was a little bit more complex than we traditionally think, or maybe you learned a little bit more about, I just feel like learning more about our history and where we came from would be so much more valuable to me in the present than knowing about the future.
Yeah.
And honestly, chances are if you went 50,000 years in the future, we're going to be back to fucking barbarians.
God, it's so tempting. Both are so tempting, but I think honestly, more people would be interested in the future just to see where we would get. Like most people don't have our sort of interest.
I
And
want to get
fascination
specific.
with that past.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You know, we have a very specific interest with that 50,000 years ago because, we kind of
It
both
interests
think
us.
that it's possible that there was a civilization that
Yeah.
existed
So
before us.
I want to get more specific. I want to go to Egypt 15,000 years ago, before the cataclysm.
I really think I might go to Jesus, dude, just to see what all the hubbub was about. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good one too.
Because that one has almost more implications on our modern times than
That's
than
true.
The Egyptians
That's
did.
true.
Because if you could know, okay, let's just say that Jesus. I'm assuming that it would take faith to believe that he was a god then too. Just because you saw him back
Of
then
course.
doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
believe that
Yeah.
you thought he was a god. So you'd have to have faith regardless. But I just think it would be interesting to see how he conducted himself. Like if you got to watch how he actually lived
Yeah,
his life.
that's true.
Because let's say you saw him do something that he shouldn't have. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that.
Well, you saw a sin.
Yeah. Maybe it's not a sin. Maybe he was just loving a woman. Is that a sin?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Apparently, he liked Mary Magdalene a great deal.
Well, if he was loving the woman outside of wedlock, that was a sin. And Jesus didn't get married.
It was a sin in the Old Testament, but with Jesus, there's a new covenant. So, do we even respect the rules and ideals of a Jewish past life?
I think that's what half the world is warring about right now. Is that exact question?
Exactly that. Actually,
Literally that.
Literally that. Yep.
People are
yep.
getting murdered in the streets right now.
Yeah.
Children are dying because of that question.
Basically. And it's funny. It's really
It's not funny, but it's funny.
It's kind of funny. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting.
It's
I would probably go
That's
back
a good
then.
one. That's you might have won me over, because obviously, I'd
What
love
if
to
he was
see.
just a cool ass motherfucker?
I'm sure it was.
That he was just about his business of saving people.
I'm sure. I'm sure he was a
You know what I'm
badass
saying?
motherfucker.
Yeah, he had to be.
He had to be.
He had to be.
He had to be. And I don't know. I would like to see Jewish.
That's what you know what I
Jewish-
really want to believe, that he was just
I want to see him as a teen.
Right. That part of his story was
What did
like,
he look like? Well, like,
yeah.
what was Jesus's adolescence like? What was Jesus's puberty
Uh
like?
huh. Yeah.
Was he like, you know what I mean? Well, did he have the same drives? Was he beating off in his bedroom? Like, what was Jesus's puberty
We,
like?
we have some people watching.
I don't care.
But yeah, no, I think I would go back then because
You're right, because that probably would be a lot more valuable information than how the pyramids were built.
you know what I really want to believe that he was a real. I don't know. Is it more fun to believe that he was really the son of God, or that he was just such a bad motherfucker that really cared about people so much that he developed this lesson and these thoughts himself, and that they were so amazing that people thought he was the son of God.
What if he was a time traveler?
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if he just imagine how much of an amazing person he was if he wasn't the son
Yeah,
of God.
yeah.
There's not really he wasn't burned of abortion. He was just a regular motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he developed a thought pattern and a way of being that was so powerful that it altered the trajectory of the world. Because up until then, it was all based on race. The Jews thought you can only get into heaven if you were born a Jew. You know what I'm saying? Like there was, and then Jesus comes along and he's like, "Nah, fuck all that. Everybody can get into the kingdom. Everybody can enjoy the afterlife. Everyone on earth. But you have to believe that I died on the cross." I don't. That just doesn't fit with. That just doesn't. I don't know. I'm going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's definitely a rabbit hole, but it's like I see what you're saying.
It'd be interesting to go back to that time period, but
Yeah.
I don't know how much more insight you would be able to gain. I'm sure a great
And
deal.
again,
I'm sure a
like-
great deal,
But also, that's personal insight. You're almost going to
Yeah.
be making your life harder by coming back to the chaos of today's world with the correct knowledge and not being able to share it.
That's interesting. That's almost true of anything, right?
Yeah, because like you're going to come back and
If you knew there was an ancient civilization 50,000 years ago,
and then you come back and see archaeologists debating it, and you're
You're
like,
like,
God,
what
what
in
are
the
you
fuck?
fucking
Yeah.
doing, dude? Look at the evidence.
It's like Jesus, like he was talking about mushrooms, guys. Everyone knew it back then.
Yeah, you go back, you see Jesus tripping his ass
I'm
off,
just tripping
tripping balls.
I'm joking, but yeah, similar thing, right?
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
So you almost don't want any more information. Because it'd almost be torturous to come back with that information and not being able to use it in any way to make any change whatsoever.
You know what is this is
You'd be the crazy guy spouting out, no, I know the truth. This is the truth. I saw it. I went there. I saw it firsthand. And people would be like, lock that dude in a mental asylum.
Yeah.
Lock him up. And
Like-
you'd be like, no, I saw the truth. I know that. Believe me.
Isn't it amazing, like how many turn of phrases we have that we just take for granted when we're kids, like ignorance is bliss, and then me and you are having this conversation right now.
Literally, like,
You it's
Explaining
just,
that.
It's amazing, like as you all the things that you hear growing up, you're like, whatever. You know what I'm like? I'm trying to think of another example.
so if you could go back and turn your brain off and just be a dumb jock, would you do it?
Well, to be honest, I think that
Do you think it is that blissful? Or do you think that having a certain understanding and a certain level of knowledge is more fun? Who cares about bliss?
to be honest, I know I've heard Jordan Peterson say this, and I've thought about it before he even said it, but he basically said that some of the most resentful people in the world are the smartest because they have the ability to understand
Right.
everything that has happened.
But would you give that up?
I mean,
That's a pretty deep question. Because, like, like we're talking about how scary the world is right now.
right,
and
we have the ability to really think about what's going on. Whereas
to an extent, yeah. So, and I cherish that, even though it can be scary and stressful
It's a
and,
burden.
and anxiety inducing so much of the time.
it's a burden.
It's also a gift. It's also like, it's fun to be able to at least, like, it's fun to be able to watch a documentary about the fucking Andromeda galaxy and actually halfway understand what they're talking about.
Right. No, I get what you're saying.
That goes hand in hand with the same, smarts that it takes to follow. At least I barely follow politics,
Have
but
you
I follow
ever-
it well enough.
Well, think about the phenomenon of a super rich person being dreadfully miserable.
Yeah.
Where someone who lives in a house that's like maybe 20 by 20 feet with their 8 family members, they're just cups pouring over with love and
Right.
affection. All they do is care for one another. Like, they're ignorant to way more
Yeah.
than that rich person is. That rich person has had so much more exposure.
Right.
But I think yes. I think generally that the more understanding you have of the world and the things, you have the ability to become more resentful than someone who doesn't. But you don't have to go that way. It's like some people
Right.
it's like when some people are faced with a horrible travesty, they are overcome with grief and the inability to do anything that's effective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some people turn up their intensity by like 10, and they just go on overdrive, and it kicks them into some new level of ability and effectiveness. And I think it's the same way with intelligence. Like, some people are crippled by it, and some people find a way to deal with it.
And use it.
Yeah, and use it.
So I don't think I would change anything.
I mean, how could you?
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
just hypothetically, if I could flip a switch and I would no longer have the knowledge of any of the bullshit going on in the world, and I was just living my life. I probably wouldn't struggle with alcohol as much.
Yeah.
Definitely, I probably wouldn't struggle with alcohol as much.
Like, let's just think about the way that Jesus kind of thought about life. You know, he was minimalistic. He didn't really think that materialistic possessions were important. You know, he was way more focused on the people who needed help than the people who had everything they needed. This is everything that's the opposite with the American culture. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, all we do is idolize material possession. All we do is prioritize status. This is exactly the sort of things that Jesus was kind of, repulsed by.
Yeah.
If you think about the way he taught, and the way he lived his life, and
almost any religious figure. I mean, Buddha did the same exact thing. It was a renouncement. Is that the right word? Of all material things and getting away from the status game and just trying to be as natural and just take in the world for what it was. I don't know. But if I could go back and change anything, I wouldn't go to college. At least not for the same degree.
Right.
I'd love to have an engineering degree. I say that like I'm fucking 80 and I can't continue to educate myself.
Yeah.
I could always go and get another degree.
Course.
But you can't do that with no money.
God, that's what frustrates me the most about it. Is that information is so readily available, but it's so expensive to somehow get a degree.
Right.
It's incredible. That's what drives me nuts about it.
And there's no reason for it.
This drives me nuts.
There's no reason for that expense.
Like we talked about, you're paying for all the amenities of the college. You know, you want to go to that top-notch school. You know, you want to go to that name.
What's so funny to me is that after you graduate, maybe once a month, I get an email from Coastal asking for donations to their alumni program. I'm like, bitch, I gave you $60,000. Stop asking me for money.
Jesus, like, you need donations?
That's what dude.
You guys need donations?
You know, you go to schools and it's like the name of the stadium was the school's biggest donor.
Right.
Why are you giving them money? What are you doing?
They're getting something out of it.
It costs. Oh, of course. The donors are getting something
they're playing
out
the status
of it.
game.
100%.
Your name's on the stadium. Fuck, man.
But like,
you fucking bitches,
dude. You're what? At any given moment, you've got 2,000, 3,000 students, each of which are paying 50, 60, 100 grand to be there. That's so much money. That ain't just paying the staff and paying the faculty the fees and the lease for the lot and the land property and the tax. That ain't just paying that, son. Somebody's pockets are getting fat. Fat. That ain't just paying for education.
I kind of get it with the state schools, but state schools are really expensive now too. You know, Clemson is crazy expensive
Dude, go
and hard to get into.
go to a community college. I mentioned this last week, but I didn't explain it. Go to a community college. A lot of them offer free tuition. SEC never started charging tuition after COVID. They went free tuition during COVID. They've kept free tuition. Free.
That's the way.
Go
so,
to SEC.
So,
So,
stop
but-
playing
hold-
the status game.
My point is,
Like that's literally the status game.
go to a community college. As long as you can get the basis of information you need to follow up on what you said, is if you can get the base of information to actually land a decent job, you're going to learn more on the job anyway.
That accredited piece of paper, man.
Right. So just go get the cheapest education you could possibly get, because the education you pay for is not the knowledge that you gain. If you're really into educating yourself, you're going to do that regardless of where you go to school. Like you were saying, you learned more about geology in your first 6 months than you did 2 years at Clemson. But I learned more about the world in general than I ever did in college. And that's not because I went into an occupation that taught me about it. That's because I'm a curious person. So the education you pay for is not where your knowledge ends.
No.
So get the cheapest education you can possibly get to get that fucking piece of paper and land you a decent job, and then keep learning. That's the way to do it. If I was if anybody wanted an education to get a specific degree or to get a specific career path, that's what I would encourage them to do.
So it's almost like all of our problems are just caused by our own vanity. So much of them.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's so much of them.
Yeah. It's tough to leave that behind when you're a teenager. And you have telling people that it's the right thing to do, to go to that big name school.
That's
Don't worry
the worst.
about the debt. It'll pay you back.
That's the worst.
You'll make that money back. Don't worry.
How encouraged we are to do that by guidance counselors, by parents, by teachers, by everybody. The guidance counselors are the worst, dude. It's like, oh, go to this college, it'll be this much tuition, but then you'll get this job, and they act like it's set in stone. You go to when you're a fucking junior in high school and you go to your guidance counselor to try and get a career path laid out, they act like everything's set in stone. They act like you're going to go to this college, you're going to get good grades, you're going to get a degree, you're going to get this job, you're going to get promoted in 3 years, you're going to have this career. It's like, no. No, you're
so
lucky.
Many variables.
You're lucky if the college even accepts you.
Right.
Don't. Why are we teaching kids that all this shit's so laid out and straightforward when we should be telling? When you go to the guidance counselor should sit you down and be like, "Listen,
talk to me a little bit about yourself.
The world is chaos. Nothing is set in stone, and here are your options."
And now we're back to control. They have this need to control everything. And we have to have a sure path. We need that as humans because it makes us feel better. Yeah.
But it's about the journey.
Yeah.
The chaotic path is often more valuable than the straightforward one.
You learn way more.
It's about the journey.
Yeah.
I guess
that guy at the factory that's been working there for 25 years that knows, God knows, way more than that 4-year college graduate coming out that studied, civil engineering. And the guy that's been there for 25 years with no college degree just comes over there and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, let me just fix what you fucked up real quick. You know what I mean? I've had that experience in my life. You know what I mean? Where this well driller is like, and I never had the arrogance to be like, "Hey, let me tell you what's gonna happen." You know what I mean? I wasn't like that, but I would be constantly humbled by these guys that were just, they didn't go to college.
Yeah.
They're just salt of the fucking earth people.
Dude.
And they work hard, and I gained so much knowledge from them. They didn't even go to fucking school. So that's what I get all like that's what
See, that for me is where the ignorance is bliss comes back into play. Cause like this might sound negative, and I don't mean it this way, but it takes a certain amount of ignorance to just go work at a factory for 20 years. I don't have that in me. There's no world
or just
in which
maybe
I
not
envision
ignorance.
myself.
Maybe let's just say dedication because that was their path. That was their
Well,
sure path.
the reason I say
and they needed
ignorance
to prepare for
is
they needed
because
to take care of their family.
oftentimes there's no other option. You grow up in Union,
Right.
you didn't go to college, you got your high school diploma. Oh, Gestamp's hiring,
Right.
and now I've worked at Gestamp for 25 fucking years.
Ignorance not meaning stupid, just means you weren't exposed. To
Yeah,
anything else.
I mean that's the true definition of
Yeah.
ignorance.
Not-
Ignorance
not-
doesn't mean stupidity.
doesn't mean you're stupid.
Ignorance is a lack of knowledge.
Right.
So it's maybe a lack of understanding what opportunities might have been out there for you.
Because there's a difference between having the access to the knowledge and the information and not being able to understand it,
Yeah.
and just literally having no access to it at all.
There's also a lot of intelligent people that are fucking stupid.
Right.
You might be very good at acquiring knowledge, but you might be terrible at interpreting it. But
Yeah.
there's
We have a huge division in our country amongst the people who labor daily and the people who work computer jobs.
yeah.
Like that is a totally different call. Like
So
that's
disconnected.
so disconnected.
Yeah, there's no world where I envision myself doing the same job for 20 years. There's
I
no
don't
job.
I don't either.
There's no job I envision doing for 20 years. And if it is something I'm willing to do for 20 years, it's not a job. It's
Right.
something I've already been doing for the past 5 years. You know? There's no world where I see myself doing one job for 20 straight years. I'd rather kill myself.
I'm getting lulled by this water.
Yeah. I mean, we're over an hour now. We can wrap it up.
Stop looking at it. It's gonna put me to sleep.
Well, that was episode 35.
That was all over the place, dude.
It was had some heavy parts.
What we're trying to talk about, what we're trying to say is we're scared. Let's all pull it together, people.
We're scared and pay attention. There's a lot of shit going on.
Look the fuck out, people.
Pay attention.
Look
Keep your
the
eyes
fuck
open.
out. Hell yeah.
Something's coming.
Something's coming.
Something's fucking coming. And if I had to bet, it'll be this year. I mean, obviously the election's going to happen this year, and that's going to be something coming. But if I had to place my bets, if you ask me everything you own, put it on the table, this year or later, I'm thinking this year. I'm thinking it's coming quick, dude.
I felt that way in 2012. You know what I mean?
Because of the whole apocalypse.
Yeah.
Well, that was.
Do you remember us hanging out that day? Me and you, we left school. I think we were in like 10th grade. 2012, 9th grade. 9th or 10th
Ninth
grade.
or 10th, yeah, depending on the semester.
We passed the time waiting for the world to end that day. It was the last day of school for the first semester of the year. We went to my place, and we walked down to the creek and then up the creek, and we hung out in the woods all day.
I do remember that.
Just to like keep our mind off the impending
Yes,
apocalypse.
I remember that.
That's so funny, dude.
God, I haven't thought about that. I remember, like, now that you say that, I can remember walking to that creek, walking along the creek. I remember that whole day now that you say that. That's wild. But yeah, something's coming.
Up a creek.
Up a creek with two
Grab
paddles.
a paddle, bitches.
Maybe just throw them. Maybe just toss the paddles. They're not going to help you anyway.
There's not enough lifeboats. Fuck it. Give your life jacket to a baby.
Just chuck the paddle as far as you fucking can. It's not going to help you anyway right now. The river's just
Hold on to that fucking
taking
boat.
off. Just
Hold
try
on
not
to your personal protective equipment.
just try not to fall in.
You ain't steering this
No,
motherfucker.
you're not controlling anything going on right now. Well,
Hopefully we don't go over the falls.
yeah, dude. The river's heading towards a waterfall.
Yeah.
I said the train's heading towards a brick wall. The river's heading towards a waterfall. Son. That paddle ain't doing shit. You need a trolling motor in that damn boat if you're gonna get away from that fucking waterfall.
Jesus.
And ain't nobody building no motors out here.
I love metaphors. I've gotten so much better at them since we started this
Hypotheticals
podcast.
are fun. But yeah, thank you for listening.
Hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Hopefully.
Oh yeah, I gotta
We're so
say,
bad at ending this podcast.
I need to say that before next week. So Hannah's induced or has an induction for our second child on, I think it's March the 4th, which is not tomorrow Monday, but the next Monday.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, you
Just
casually dropped that she was 9 months pregnant about halfway through the podcast. But I mean, we've been talking about it. But
no, I was just saying because we might.
We'll see how it works out. We might can't get
who
together.
knows what'll happen?
Blake's bringing another human into the creek.
Yeah. Into the creek. As far as I can tell, the babies aren't the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think the babies are the problem.
They're the solution. They have to be.
Yeah.
They have to be the solution.
Yeah.
You better be raising the next fucking, I don't even know, the next FDR or somebody who's going to come make some real change.
I'm just going to hope for a person who can take care of themselves and not be a dickhead, okay? That's what I'm going to hope for.
All right. We're officially ending this podcast.
I think we give too many people lofty goals. All right, we're out.
Well, thank you for listening. Love you guys.